When I think of the challenge that presented itself to you right after Harvey's landfall, the only adjective that comes close is Herculean. The task was unimaginable, and you worked with a rapidity that was nearly miraculous. Thank you. Thanks also for providing such constant communications. You set a few standards here, and I wanted to take a moment to express my gratitude.
The approaching storm offered plenty of notice. It moved slowly through the Gulf of Mexico for days, but few believed it would become a hurricane and strike the central Texas coast. What started as a tropical disturbance that might affect the Rio Grande Valley eventually turned north and grew into the largest storm in over 40 years.
Now, this has not happened ever here that we've seen this. This is a Category 4 hurricane. This is sustained winds of 130 with gusts to 155. Okay, and so what we're talking about is getting worse, obviously, and it's getting worse in several facets. The winds have increased, and the forward speed has slowed down. And the implication on the forward speed, slowing down from 10 to 8 miles an hour, means the battering of this storm on the Texas coast and the coastal bend is going to last longer. So we now have a Cat 4 hurricane just to the north and east. So now we're getting into what is defined by the Hurricane Center as a catastrophic event.
AEP Texas management monitored the storm and adjusted plans accordingly. As the storm shifted shape and headed deeper into the AEP Texas service territory, AEP Texas activated its incident command structure, putting into practice the preparation that came with 2 years' worth of training and drills.
Probably the first time that AEP has implemented the structure in a storm this large. And what we do here is we set the strategy for the overall restoration of service after Hurricane Harvey. You have a reduced span of control, so you've got more folks taking care of the problems. Makes it a little easier on you to focus on what really needs to get done as opposed to putting out fires. First thing we talk about every day, obviously, is safety. The thing that we try to focus on each and every session is how do we safely restore the customers back to having full power in a way that is advantageous to us.
Within 24 hours, Hurricane Harvey grew from an expected Category 1 storm to a deadly Category 4 storm, with sustained winds of 130 miles per hour. Cities throughout the coastal bend already had activated their own emergency operations centers, and a statewide center was also activated in Austin. External affairs team members were assigned to these centers. This ensured a constant flow of information.
The interaction that AEP Texas has with the cities during an event like this is tremendous. We have to have representatives in the EOC centers communicating with our guys and helping the cities resolve their issues in the restoration efforts.
AEP Texas already had contacted mutual assistance partners from other AEP operating companies, other utilities, and contractor companies. A massive force began to converge on the area and would grow as the restoration continued. At one point, many of these workers traveled long distances to participate, driving from Ohio, Missouri, Kentucky, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Oklahoma, as well as other parts of the AEP Texas service territory.
It's just like if we had a storm in Louisiana, we know that people from Texas and all over the country would come there.
Initial crews traveled to nearby locations in order to shelter in place before Hurricane Harvey made landfall. That meant they would be ready to work when the storm passed. It also meant that food and lodging had to be provided and staging areas had to be established.
What we call in the restoration business is a base camp. This is where we bring in our resources from outside of Corpus Christi, and the purpose of this is to allow them, it's basically building a small city.
Hurricane Harvey made landfall around 10 p.m. on Friday, August 25th, near Rockport, Texas, just 30 miles from the AEP Texas home office in Corpus Christi. Additionally, the storm also ravaged Port Aransas and Aransas Pass. The AEP Texas distribution center in Aransas Pass took a direct hit from the storm.
It's probably worst case scenario in Aransas Pass. We had lost a service center. We had lost all communications over in that area. We had lost several of our company vehicles. And so we really had to start from ground zero over there and build an opportunity to even start the restoration.
Saturday morning, residents began to venture out and see the damage and destruction left in Harvey's path. Downed power lines, blown over fences, uprooted trees, and broken utility poles around Corpus Christi proved a small indicator of the more extensive damage that occurred a short distance across the harbor bridge. But it was not over. Even after Harvey made landfall, it had continued on its path of destruction before reducing strength to tropical storm status. Even then, the storm pounded the area with strong winds, heavy rain, powerful gusts, and more damage. It moved north, affecting communities far off the coast like Refugio, Woodsboro, El Campo, and Victoria. Staging areas had been established in strategic locations around the coastal bend, including the site of the Greyhound racetrack in Corpus Christi, the Aransas Pass Service Center parking lot, and the Aransas County Municipal Airport. On Saturday, August 26th, around 2 p.m., the number of outages climbed to a peak of 220,000. The first step in the restoration process was removing the hundreds of safety hazards caused by downed power lines, broken utility poles, and other electric equipment strewn across roads, sidewalks, and yards.
Our primary goal, as with AEP Texas and with anybody, is that we want to make sure that our employees and our resources that we've asked to come in make sure that they come back the same condition that they left in the morning.
At the same time, damage assessors evaluated the extent of the damage, all the while fighting rain bans, wind gusts, and mandatory evacuations due to flooding as Harvey lingered. Then crews focused on restoration to priority services such as water treatment plants, hospitals, and other city services. As those tasks were completed, crews focused on actions to restore service to large groups of customers.
The biggest challenge that we had after the storm was not just the wind damage, but also the rain that stayed on the northern part of the Corpus area for more than half a day, basically. So the rainfall lasted for days. Flooding became an issue, and we're dealing with that at this point.
Crews battled many elements throughout the restoration process, but none more challenging than Texas-sized mosquitoes. Insect repellent became a valued commodity, as well as mosquito face nets.
Holy cow! They weren't kidding when they say everything is bigger in Texas. You can saddle those things.
If you really look at what linemen do, they are really a small working class around the country. There's not a lot of them. Part of their instinct is to help each other under times of stress and storms. And this is no different. They're all camaraderie, they're all family. They display a serious, call it a brother's keeper attitude towards each other.
It's definitely a bond. You're your brother's keeper out here. You're always watching your back, each other's back, and making sure that everybody's safe and working to their best of their ability.
AEP Texas incorporated specialized equipment such as drones, helicopters, cranes, and all-terrain vehicles for damage assessment and service restoration in areas where flooding made access difficult. By September 9th, AEP Texas crews had restored power to over 96% of customers left without power as a result of the storm. For some customers, repairs to their home or business damaged by Hurricane Harvey will take an extended amount of time, and many will not be able to have power reconnected. Crews continued to work where there were outages affecting small groups of customers or individuals. The restoration effort illustrates the power of teamwork. Teams of support groups worked tirelessly to coordinate the many details that had to be addressed to ensure that restoration forged ahead.
On an average day, we get approximately 2,500 customer calls. During the peak of Hurricane Harvey, we received 30,000 customer calls.
The outpouring of support from the public for crews was tremendous. Customers played a vital role during the restoration effort. Their patience and expression of appreciation kept crews energized as they worked to bring back the power.
I'd just like to thank the people, all the people at AEP Texas and all the contractors they brought in. I've traveled from here up through Rockport, Aransas, past Port Aransas, and everywhere I go, I see their people no matter what time of the day it is. And we at the port want to say thank you.
I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done for Aransas County. Thank you very much.
I wish I could extend my hand to every single lineman out there, every guy that is rebuilding the infrastructure and then powering the lines in order to get service back to this community. Everybody in this community thinks you guys are heroes, and the work that you've done just since the storm hit has meant so much to my community and to the people in surrounding communities. I wish I could thank you individually. And for all of those people that you brought in from all over the country to help us, endless bucket trucks, endless linemen, endless guys that have been working dawn to dusk, and we cannot thank you enough. Thank you is inadequate, but here's my hand. Thanks.
This was a really proud moment for all of AEP Texas. Thank you so much to every single one of you. I mean, we're a family and we really came together to restore power back to our communities. I can't say enough of how proud every single one of you, all of us should be of the work we all did together. And then to have the support behind us, all of our AEP sister companies coming together to help us restore power back to our communities. It was a joy to see. It was phenomenal to watch all of that interaction and great work being done out there. Thank you very much.
AEP Texas would like to thank the men and women who partnered to help our towns and communities return to normalcy. Many of those individuals moved on to Florida or other states to help with the restoration effort following Hurricane Irma.